Keeping fit is not an optional activity in the fire service, it's a job requirement. Fighting a fire in a blazing aircraft and rescuing injured passengers requires considerable strength and stamina. So the younger men have to pass a medical examination every 5 years, the older men every 2. In addition to routine fitness training, they're encouraged to play sports such as volleyball to foster a greater sense of team spirit. Teamwork is essential in firefighting, and so too is hands-on experience. That's why at the far end of the main runway, the airport authorities have constructed what's known as the fire ground, where the firemen can train with real fire in realistic aircraft structures. A double-deck structure of a jumbo jet has been reconstructed from steel containers and is furnished with airline seating inside. Elsewhere on the spacious 2-acre fire ground, far away from the anxious eyes of the travelling public, every nightmare imaginable can be replicated. A simulated fuselage, scarred by countless conflagrations. Full-scale engine cowlings, mounted at their correct service heights. This is the upper engine of a DC-10. From wing stubs to crashed transit coaches, the fireground is a horrifically real collection of disasters waiting to happen. Disasters which Sub-Officer Graham Salmon hopes he'll never see, but for which he'll continue to prepare.
The main thing that we deal a lot with, training-wise, is in case of an internal fire situation. Outside, it's quite easily dealt with. Inside's a lot trickier, insofar as you've got everything that the aircraft is made up, and it's exactly like somebody's front room. You've got near enough the same materials, you've got your plastics, yes, you can have fire retardant cloth over the seats, but when temperatures are built up to 1,000 degrees plus, that's next to useless. They still have the foam inside, and so you have all these materials inside. You say a jumbo jet where you may have 300, 400, 500 seats, depends how it's configured, all made of the same, tightly cocooned inside a steel tube, and at one end you get a fire. That will very, very quickly build up. You get thick, black smoke. Within that smoke, you have a whole range of chemicals floating around in it, from hydrogen cyanide downwards, which only takes a few parts per billion to put you out. And so that is building up, and it builds up very, very quickly. The smoke then starts to get thicker and thicker, travel along the roof internally, and then you can get a flashover. Whereas before there might be too much oxygen or not enough, there comes a point when the mixture is just right, because the heat is there, which will ignite it, and it will just roll right the way across from the source of the fire outwards at tremendous high speed. We've been told that if you get caught full in face with a flashover, it'll burn your lungs out. It's extremely nasty. And so, again, golden rule in any fire situation is get down very, very low and stay there. And one of the things is, if a flashover happens and you're down low, you're going to be okay.
Even without Graham's gruesomely detailed knowledge of what can happen to you in an aircraft fire, some people still find flying a terrifying experience. And Fire 2 has been called to assist a young woman who's suffering from an anxiety attack. The remedy for this distressing but non-life-threatening condition is called bagging. The hyperventilating patient simply rebreathes her own exhaled air until her blood gas levels are stable again. The firefighters are fully trained to deal with medical emergencies. They have to be. They're usually the first on the scene, but the ambulance has been called and is on its way.
Everybody, from the governor down, must be first aid trained, Because of that, on humanitarian grounds, we can get to 9 times out of 10 anywhere on the airport quicker than the local authority ambulance service, purely and simply because we're here.
The ambulance has arrived, and the patient is officially transferred from the care of the fire service to the medical authorities. Very soon now, she'll be continuing her journey.
South Terminal, lady left with amateur.
The smell of Fireman Bart's culinary artistry wafting across the tarmac reminds the Fire 2 team that lunch is the next item on the schedule. All the firemen have to take turns as head cook, and some perform their duties with more skill than others.
Are we supposed to get this served up at the same time? Keep it off. We're on duty today for 12 hours, from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the evening, and we've got the same bunch of guys in today as there will be tomorrow, the next night, and so on. We get to know each other very well. We get to know our good points, our bad points, so we can wind each other up the best. Who can take it and who can't, and generally pick on him because we're big kids. Working as a team is an essential part of wanting to do the job. It starts off with recruitment. You've got to recruit the right sort of person. Somebody that has either had a great deal of experience of teamwork, or somebody that just puts across to them they're a team sort of person. The loners won't really get through.
Until you've done all the training, you sort of feel a bit left out, because all the guys have gone through what I yet have to go through. Until I've done that, you sort of feel a bit sort of inadequate. But I know, I know they're going to help me all the way anyway. So, it's only a matter of time before I reach up to that standard. I'm definitely looking forward to it, because I said it's something I want to do anyway.
You have to have such a team spirit here that anybody you can take out of that mess room, you can rely on 100%, because his life will depend on your actions and vice versa.
And while Eddie prepares for this afternoon's test, the others occupy themselves as best they can, never knowing what the next shout may bring. Most of the more experienced firefighters here readily acknowledge that this is one of the most wearing aspects of the job. Waiting, wondering, watching.
The worst thing about the job is the boulder. And the exciting side is when you get a call and you never know what's going to happen. The worst thing you don't want is a crash, really, but we're training for that. And the adrenaline's going and you have to follow down the runway, which happens occasionally. That's the most exciting bit.
Another call for Fire 2, and another race to get there before anything serious develops. Smoke has been detected by the transit entrance to the South Terminal, a busy thoroughfare where hundreds of people must crowd together as they move around the airport. Not a good place for a fire. Fortunately, the fire turns out to be no more serious than a carelessly discarded cigarette end, which has ignited the other material in the ashtray. But there's no such thing as a trivial fire, and this one must be dealt with as completely as any other, with whatever means are available.
Things I do to earn a pop.
You train, and we need something back. And if we could have a 747 splat all over the runway, flames and fire everywhere and smoke everywhere, we all get there and we all save half a dozen each, and no one gets hurt, no one gets killed. That would be a good shout. A damn good fire. Everything we've worked for for and trying so hard year after year. I've been doing it 17 years. Some guys have been doing it 30 years in the airport fire service and never been to an aircraft accident. And that says an awful lot of good things for the aviation industry.
And it's an industry which cannot afford to take chances. The next shout requires all of the tenders, including the massively powerful Cronenberg Mach 11s. As they tear down the runway at over 70 miles an hour, the crew members are struggling into their kit, strapping on the breathing apparatus and ensuring that their flash goods are properly secure. The situation is potentially disastrous. A 737 full of passengers is standing in a puddle of spilled fuel. Whether to evacuate the aircraft or not is the captain's decision. The fire team must assess the extent of the risk. This time, the decision is taken to keep everyone in their seats and sluice the fuel away. The situation proved safely containable, and the expensive and schedule-disrupting consequences of evacuating passengers and removing a plane from service for 2 days has been averted. Alarms are ringing again, this time in the North Terminal. Fire 2 is dispatched to investigate. Checking the upper door temperature with his hand, the sub-officer assesses the situation at the apparent location of the fire. It soon becomes apparent that there is a fire, but not inside the terminal.
We've had 3 calls within a few minutes, all due to white line burning off like this. In fact, I was actually talking to them, trying to get them to stop work when we got the 3rd call, which was the fire alarm. Basically, the fumes were going into the air conditioning and set the fire alarm off. We'd already had a report from the tower of seeing smoke and smell of burning up in the lounge. Well, they've got a hot works permit. They've only got 1 set of extinguishers. None of the extinguishers meet my requirements. Water gas one was laying on its side, part empty. Dry powder one there hasn't even got a hose on it. The CO2's got no safety pinion, so I said all the extinguishers are unacceptable. And they need a set. They've got 2 vehicles working, and they seem to. I said they need a full set on each vehicle, and to liaise with you, particularly reference any fire alarms that might need closing down before any further work. The gent there supervising. Alright, so if I can leave that in your...
Yeah, well, we had a word. I mean, the work's now stopped.
Yeah, I'll stop until they start. Okay?
The next shout is another passenger emergency. Once again, the crew of Fire 2 get there within 2 minutes. A gentleman passenger, complaining to his wife that he felt unwell, has been sitting in a toilet cubicle for over 4 hours. His wife has only just raised the alarm with the airport police. The ambulance service have been routinely notified and are on their way. For the moment, all the sub-officer can do is to reassure the patient and make sure he's as comfortable as possible. Once again, the patient is handed over to the ambulance service when they arrive on the scene. Back at the station, the waiting continues. The boredom mounts. one member of the watch, the tension is almost unbearable. The moment of truth is arriving for trainee fireman Eddie Wharton.
Right, get it all together, okay? We're down the fire ground, heat and humidity chamber. Go and get yourselves ready. I'll give you the briefing for the exercise on the way. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, and best of luck to you.
Thank you. Yeah. I always expect it to be hard. It's simulating like an interior fire, so I mean it's going to be very hot. I mean, I'm looking forward to that part of it, to actually feel the heat, as to say, and actually do some firefighting. But I don't know exactly what to expect, because I said I haven't actually done it. I've just been told what it could be like.
That's the warning, gents, don't touch it. We must train them as realistically as possible. If you had a fireman going on a shout in which he's never experienced those conditions, then it's not fair on him or those he's gone to help. So the heat and humidity chamber, nice big hot fire inside. We have aircraft seating in there, old ones, again, put casualties at various points in there. Our first priority in an internal fire situation would be to put the fire out. So once the first crew goes in, as much as possible, they will make for the fire to put the fire out. That is when you start getting humidity, and that becomes very, very hot. So you may think in one point you're worsening the situation because you can walk quite upright in there, even with a really big fire. As soon as you put the water onto it, then the humidity, it just envelops you so quickly, and before you know, you can be down on your hands and knees or even lower.
If Eddie fails the heat and humidity test, then 10 weeks of intensive training will have been wasted. This is the toughest and most arduous of all their training exercises, and Eddie knows that he will be under close scrutiny throughout the test. As they prepare the hoses for action, they still don't know what awaits them inside the burning jumbo jet simulator. This is the moment they've looked forward to with a curious mix of fear and excitement. This is the moment when they will feel the heat, as the experienced firefighters put it. To ensure the trainees' safety and to monitor their performance, Sub-Officer Graham Salmon follows them into the burning wreckage with a thermal imaging camera. He can see what they cannot in the dense black smoke of the fire. Relying on their courage and their training, the young firefighters battle through the heat and the smoke to find the source of the fire and the 3 dummy casualties that have been placed throughout the cabin. They've located casualty 1, A seasoned fire victim who's seen many fires, many trainee firefighters, and, it has to be said, better times. Time to find casualty too.
Okay, now, Mike, got a report.
We went in for the fire, single shot fire, proceeded to search, cleared of where the aircraft, moved up down the first casualty, went back out, went back in, checked it back to the upper
As
level.
trainee fireman Eddie Wharton makes his report, satisfied that the fire is out and the casualties rescued, he is unaware that he's overlooked one or two important details. Details which the instructors have not missed.
Are you quite satisfied the whole area is clear? Sorry,
Right.
Mr. Wharton, where did you find the second casualty?
Top there.
At the top there. What did I tell you about the AIB? What do they want to know?
It's on location.
Yes.
Seats.
Yes. Did you count the number of seats?
Also.
Get your ass back in there! Both of you now! I'm fine now! I'm right in there! Put the fire out! Do not tell me it is finished when it is not! You don't understand, Wharton! Get in there! Get him in now! Echo, time in or out! Quick! I make my exercises, particularly under training, such that I don't mind somebody making a mistake. Training's the time to make a mistake, but I'll make them feel so bad that they've let the rest of the team down. That's what will get through to them. And it doesn't take long. Ask Eddie. I'll get it properly this time! Or not else! Come on!
Back in they go, back into the smoke and the heat. Once again, they check the jumbo's upper deck. And this time they find the third casualty, a dummy infant. The test has been arduous and demanding. The trainees have been in and out of the 250°C cabin 3 times. They've returned to the seat of the fire twice. Now it's time for another appraisal, and it's not over yet.
Why didn't you do it like the first time? Talk to me, come on.
Just going, searching, on the fire. Wasn't thinking about carrying a chair, looking for casualties.
Right, so go back over there. What have you achieved from this exercise?
The last exercise was original.
Original.
Once extinguishing the fire, we find casualties and bring them out to fresh air.
Okay. What did you succeed in doing eventually on the second one? Williamson.
We succeeded in putting the fire out, which we didn't extinguish the first time. We then relocated the casualties for exact seat numbers.
Okay. Point taken, James. Alright? Don't let that happen again. You can't always afford to go in the second time to find somebody you could have found the first time or extinguish a fire. Okay? A lot of hard work, well done. Gareth, any observations from outside?
Yeah, the observations that I saw were the hose running, and especially preparing the hose to go inside of the aircraft.
Okay? Remain doned up. I want that hose the correct way outside the aircraft, ready to get inside the aircraft. And it laid out correctly. Now, go on. Now, get it ready.
It's the final test of the trainees' willingness to give that extra effort. Their hose layout wasn't bad, but it wasn't correct.
Wrong! Left! Which side of the door you're going to enter? Right, let's get this hose over that side. Come on! Warden, is that your torch? Pick it up! Don't lose fire service equipment!
In a real incident, there will be escaping passengers, fire trucks, ambulances, and numerous other airfield vehicles milling around at the scene of the crash, or tripping over or crushing the vital hose runs if they're not laid properly.
All right, gentlemen, rest. Okay, stand up, look behind you. Now, is that or is that not better? Okay, well done. Plenty of hard work, lots of determination. Remember what I told you. Remember what the governor said, okay? Any further questions? Yeah, this exercise is one of the hardest. It's got everything that we're trying to get these guys to do combined into one. It's got searching, it's got the heat, it's got the humidity, it's got everything from outside. As you saw, they didn't quite get it 100% right outside. Don't expect them to be 100%, but I expect them to get 70% of it right, because that's the pass mark.
I think it went pretty well today, but I'm still not sure. We made a few mistakes, but I don't know. I'm still pretty nervous about it all. I'm just trying to calm down. Worst sensations when you actually turn on the water, actually once you're in there, because the heat just rises and then turns into steam, then you feel your ears burning, and also around your neck burning, which is not covered properly. And that's when you know what it is.
Eddie! Hello, Eddie! Hello, mate. Very good news. Tony's just phoned. Good pass. Mate, well done. Thank you. Good on you. Thank you.
The day ends well for Eddie Wharton, now an official member of the Gatwick Airport firefighting team. But the day isn't over just yet. As a final test of the firefighters' skills, the governor has set up an evening training exercise. The scenario is a major engine fire in the starboard wing of a fully laden transatlantic jet.
We have to risk our lives to save the public, whether it be from an aircraft or anywhere. And that professional fireman must show those qualities right from day one. It's not something that grows on you, because you don't get the job unless you can show right from a very early stage that you will do that.
For the first time, Eddie is a fully participating member of the watch. He will face the heat with his other teammates, fighting the nightmare scenarios we all dread with the dedication the fire service has come to expect.
I did a short enough. Now I've done. I'm quite happy here.
He will wrestle with the flames, the heat and the hose to beat back the living fire.
They say that fireman's job is a job for life, and that's the way I look at it personally anyway. I mean, I don't want anything else but being a fireman. So, I mean, I intend to just, if I can move up, I'll move up. I mean, if I stay leading fire, whatever, for a time, that'll suit me. As long as I'm doing the job, that's my main concern. So, I'm just looking forward to the years I'm in the service, until I retire.
Because the danger never retires, it never rests. For as long as there are aircraft, there will be aircraft fires.
I couldn't give it up. Oh, I couldn't. And I won't. They'll carry me out screaming for whatever reason.
If this nightmare ever happens to you, you'll wish that people like Fireman Eddie Wharton and Sub-Officer Graham Salmon are out there, highly trained, highly motivated, and risking their lives on your behalf.